Hey, it's November 18th, bringing you your weekly Lake Ozarks fishing report. Not a whole lot's changed as far as water conditions this week. We're at 658.6, which is holding pretty steady. Water temp is hovering around 58 to 62. I'm sure the last couple of days it may have creeped up a little bit. We've had 65, 70 degree uh, weather with wind blowing, 15 to 25 miles an hour. So that'll heat it back up. But we're also having cool nights, so it's kind of reached that temperature where it's just going to kind of hover and just kind of stay there for a little bit till we have a couple good cold snaps. You know, current, they're really not pulling any current, about 1,000 cubic foot, which is basically nothing. Every once in a while they'll crank it up. Like today, they cranked it up to about 3,500 for about 3 hours. I don't think that really affects anything, to tell you the truth. Um, color, color's pretty good, fairly clear as stain, we'll call it, pretty much everywhere. There'll be some areas that maybe a little bit clearer than others, like some of the lower river arms of each arm, but for the most part, we'll just call it stained. Um, Boy, this week I've been out several times last few days and have caught them on pretty much everything. On the front deck, where normally I like to have two, maybe three rods, I've had 8 to 10 rods on the front deck, with a little bit of everything on it because we're catching them on all kind of stuff right now. They're just really scattered, doing different things throughout the lake. Um, as far as saying the most productive, I mean, everything is. A moving bait seems to be the most productive, obviously because they're really feeding on shad or trying to feed on shad. The early morning bite has been pretty good on a whopper popper, just a black. Same rig on that, 7 foot heavy rod, 50-pound braid with a 7-to-1 lose reel. Um, about the best rig for that. On the buzz baits, doing the same thing there. This week I threw the black a little more. It seemed to do real well. Same rig, 7-foot rod on that. Same reel for lose, and either 50-pound braid or 20-pound fluorocarbon. Just the black and gold was working real good. The morning bite's been pretty decent early. For the first, say, 3 hours. When I say decent, probably in a 3 hour time period, maybe 6 bites on it, 5 to 6. And if you can get half of those, to hook up and get them in the boat, I'd say that's halfway decent right now, the way as tough as the bite's been. Um, Spinnerbait's been real good this week. Obviously, we've had a lot of wind. Been waiting and throwing this a little bit later in the afternoon. Keeping it pretty simple. This is just a custom one I make, a 3/4 ounce. That mouse color, one willow, one Colorado, one nickel, one gold. Throwing a trailer hook on it, and just following the wind. Just concentrating on windy banks, windy points. You got to have that wind to really make that productive. You'll catch some whites mixed in there, but you will catch some nice largemouth. This week, caught a couple over 4 on spinnerbait. Not a lot of them, but they will show up. So, that's for the bigger fish, the topwater, the whopper, the buzzbaits, the spinnerbaits has been catching them. We've caught a lot of keepers on jigs this week. Just a little finesse jig, little 3/8 ounce zapper. Spooled up, the rod spooled up with 15-pound test, 7-foot finesse jig rod with this hyper mag reel that Luz makes. It's an 8-to-1, extremely light. I like a really light rig when I'm fishing my jigs because I want to feel everything. The lighter that rod and reel is, just the more you're going to feel, especially a finesse jig like that. On the jigs, we've been getting in the creeks, about halfway back in the creeks, on little channel swings. Some of these banks that the fish are going to go to first, when they quit chasing the shad and they get more into a real late fall, early winter pattern, they'll start relating into these channel banks. I think they just follow these channel banks from the backs out or from out back, back into the creeks. They just follow these channel banks in. So if you can find you one of them that runs along the bank for a little ways, just slow down if you're not getting bites on some moving baits, and just hop that little jig around, and you'll get some bites. I caught several fish on it today, several small fish, but a couple little keepers, little 15 inchers. So, if you guys are fishing at wild card, man, I think they take the top 6 to the All-American. I don't expect it to take a whole lot to make the top 6. I'm gonna take a stab at the weight to make it. I'm gonna say 27, 28 pounds will get you in the top 6. I'll say 30, 31, 32 wins the thing. It's a 2-day event, so that's just my prediction based on what's been going on the last week for the weights. A friend of mine and I fished a little tournament last weekend, and it took 14.5 to win. So, and that's a team tournament. So, thinking about that, that's going to put you around 28 pounds. I'd feel pretty comfortable with for 2 days to get you the All-American. Man, like I said, as far as baits, if you're really struggling, a bait you might want to try. It's just like a little 1/8 ounce head with a little swim bait on it. Just a little bitty. This is just that little Kitech. I throw this a lot, especially on some trips. It's just called an Easy Swimmer. The Kitech mates. It's a little 4-inch bait, and I just rig it on a little 1/8 ounce head and just work that thing around docks. Let it sink down alongside them docks, and just reel it, say a foot below the surface, 5 foot down, and right along the bottom. And you're going to catch some fish. You'll probably catch a lot of Kentuckies, but this is the time of year some of your bigger Kentuckies come up. When I say Kentuckies, big Kentuckies, 3, 3 1/4, 3.5 pounders. Richie caught a nice 3.5 pound Kentucky this past weekend. It was one of our fish we weighed in. And he actually caught in on a spinnerbait. Spinnerbait like this. Our conditions last weekend are going to be a lot like this coming weekend. It was cloudy, rainy, breezy. So the fish should move. They should be feeding this weekend. So you guys should have a pretty good weekend as far as catching fish, on open banks, windy banks, just moving, roaming, and really starting to feed. So when they do that, the topwater early, and then maybe a little bit later when the sun gets up and it's casting shadows. Don't forget that topwater later in the afternoon, like from 1 to 3 o'clock can be extremely productive for topwater. So don't forget that topwater, once the sun gets up, or not sun, but if it's cloudy, once it gets brighter, the fish will bite it early, and then they'll come back on it in the afternoon. They do it every year, so I don't expect any difference. A perfect example today, I put the boat in. It was probably 10 o'clock before I put it in. I put it in over here at Shawnee, about the 12-mile marker. Pretty clear, and there was no shad up on the bank. I came back in around 3, and there was shad up on the bank. Great big gizzard shad. So it's telling me late in the afternoon they're moving up and they're coming up to the bank, and that's just going to bring the bass with them. So perfect example why don't forget that topwater as the day goes on. The football jig that we've been catching them on, 12, 15 foot, didn't work as good this week. I don't know. I think they're trying to move. They're trying to get a little shallower, feeding on shad. And the fish I did see around them deep brush piles, they were sitting up on the top of it, more suspended. So a deep diamond crankbait, a spinnerbait, this chatterbait, it can be really good. The chatterbait can be really good around docks, corners of docks, big docks, windy banks. Just something really simple like that with a little swim bait on the back can catch you a lot of fish. The name of it, the game this week or last week and this week, and for you guys fishing this tournament, is going to be cover water. Cover as much water as you can. Just try to stay on the most productive things you can in the fall like this. And the most productive thing is going to be wind-blown banks. That's where your most concentration, most likelihood of getting bites are going to be. Shade lines, whether it be early in the morning or late in the afternoon. Main lake, just inside main lake, points, secondary points, things like that. Just try to stay on your most productive areas, and a moving bait, just running. If you're, let's see, what's today? Wednesday, so you got one more day of pre-fishing. I'd start on main lake, and I'd just keep going back into a creek and just see if I'm getting bites and where I'm getting them, and then I would concentrate on just that come tournament day. I wouldn't waste a lot of time just going in the banks or going here or there, whatever. Just try to get yourself a good pattern and figure where most of your fish are going to be and really stick to that. You're looking for 5 fish. Like I said, if you get 13 pounds, okay. If you get 16 pounds, that's going to be a good day for you. So just kind of give you a gauge. This week we did catch some on the X-Bite with a little horny toad on it. There's a lot of leaves kind of floating in the along the shoreline, and this bait here with the horny toad, you can skip it back in there and it'll come through them leaves a little bit better, and come out without getting all snagged up. But when they do get in behind them docks, this bait works real well as far as to skip under them the cables. You can skip this thing like you do a Cinco in the spring. So that's that X-Bite with a horny toad on it. Man, there's covered a lot of stuff as far as bass. That's about it. I mean, just cover some water. If you do slow down, just try to find your little channel bank, maybe just inside the main lake or halfway back. Just a little stretch of a channel bank, not real long one, just a little stretch, and just hop a little finesse jig, and work it really slow, and you'll get bites doing that. The crappie this week, has been excellent. I mean, just giant crappie, really bunched up, a lot of them. You can sit in one spot and catch a limit. Fairly easy right now. Couple baits, if it's open water or out in front of the docks on those braces, I'm just throwing that little Kitech, little 3-inch little swimmer on a little 16th ounce crappie head, on a 4 or 6 pound test. Man, it's just, you just throw it out there and watch it. Well, on the live scope, you just watch it go down and get right to your fishing and just reel it through them, and they come out there and chase it. And you can just sit on top of them and catch limit after, fish after fish and get you a nice limit. If you have to shoot the docks, you have to, 16th ounce head, and just put you on a little Bobby Garland, little, bluegrass color, or the blue ice is about all you need to do. I really, honestly haven't seen a big difference. Either one, whichever one I reach in and grab and tie and put back on the jig head, it's catching them. They're feeding really well. So if you're coming down and you want to catch crappie, main lake docks, halfway back, about like the bass, just look for your bigger docks with big swim platforms on them that have pretty good sized holes, and you can see way back in there, and you're going to have to shoot your bait about 4 to 8 foot back in there and just let it sink, and your line will bounce. No doubt, it's a lot of fun. Same thing with the little swim bait. Just a lot of them are hanging on the braces out in front of them deep docks or alongside them docks. Just let it sink down and just steady retrieve it, and you'll catch them. So that's been a lot of fun, keeping me busy. One thing I will say, I've been doing a little bit here, especially on trips or even out by myself. This little swim bait, if I locate a brush pile, if it's real windy, it's kind of hard to stay on these fish sometimes, right on top of them, or know exactly where the brush pile is. So I'll sneak up to it with the live scope, get that brush pile, and I've been using these little um, these little marker buoys is what they are, and it's got line on it. It comes, unravels, piece of lead on it, it sinks down, and then this just floats right above, straight, vertical above where you drop it. So you get on top of that brush pile. You don't want to drop it on the brush or in the brush, obviously. Maybe 4 foot off to the side, but that'll get your depth, how far away. And then you can back up with your boat, and take your time. If you got 2-3 people in the boat, you just cast past your buoy, let it sink down, and that brush pile is right there at that buoy. So a little something you might get. It works real well as far as just keeping that brush pile located where it's at. So, man, other than that, that's about it. Other than when you guys are down here fishing, especially you tournament guys this weekend, you're kind of unfamiliar place. We've got some great dealers down here. Unfortunately, and hopefully none of you have issues or problems, but chances are somebody will. It's just the way it is. If you have a troll motor issue, Reliable Marine in Greenview, it's at the corner of Highway 7 and Highway 5 in Greenview. Jeff is his name. Excellent guy. He'll get you back on the water. He's got a lot of parts for a lot of trolling motors. He'll get you in, get you fixed, and get you out of there. He's the best down here. So if you have a troll motor problem, on your outboards, we've got several good dealers on the west side over here. Sport World Boat Center, big Evinrude dealer. So if you have Evinrude and you have any issues there, Gary and his boys will take care of you there. He's also a Mercury dealer now. On the other side of the lake, Boatworks. It's a new place over there in Osage Beach. They've actually got the best Mercury mechanic, Dan Bowman over there. So if you have an issue with any Mercury or Mercury related things, see Boatworks over there in Osage Beach. There's a Joe Bass Tackle Sport Boat USA over in Osage Beach. They have a mechanic on duty. So any of those guys, they're going to do what they can to get you on the water. So and anybody else down here at the lake, just ask somebody. Anybody at the ramp, at the gas station, whatever. Down here at the lake, a lot of people they just help each other out. Just ask somebody. Someone's going to give you the right direction or lead you in the right direction as far as where to get things. Tackle, we've got an abundance of great tackle stores down here all around the lake to pick up any of the products I talk about, or maybe something that you like and you want to use yourself. Fitz Fishing over in Osage Beach. He has 2 locations. One in Osage Beach. I guess it's like more Lake Ozark, Osage Beach, down towards Menards and all that. And then he has another new store across from PB2 right there, their new second store. You've got Joe Bass Tackle just right there by PB2 also. You've got Jack's Sporting Goods in Camdenton. They've got a lot of things there. You get on the west side, you've got Osage Bait and Tackle in Lori. More crappie stuff there. They do have a lot of bass selection though. And then you've got Bryant's Osage Outdoors also in Lori. He's got a great selection. Great guys in there will help you out. Any reel repairs, and them guys can take care of your reels. They've got a lot of line, they got a lot of tackle, and they also have a lot of knowledge of the lake and facilities around the lake if you need any questions asked. Same thing with Wayne and all them guys, Robbie and Ben and all them at Joe Bass or at Fitz's or Bryant's or any of them. They're all going to help you. They're all going to lead you in the right direction. So, hopefully you don't have any trouble. But good luck to all you guys. Be safe out there. There's only going to be 130 boats. And 130 boats on Lake of the Ozarks, they'll pretty much disappear. You're not going to see a lot of guys. It's the second week of deer season. So there's not a whole lot else going on. The only other thing is the second Bass World Sports Tournament. Um, you heard me talk about it here in the past. It's a great circuit. The numbers are growing. It's run by great guys. Payback's great. Ranger Cup. And it's Sunday. So this Sunday out of PB2, it'll be 7 o'clock, 7 to 3, I believe. So it's the second one of their winter series. If you get down here a lot in the winter, that's a circuit I would definitely look at for winter time. There's one a month, and it's kind of the I ain't gonna say the old school style, but it's just kind of the old good time tournaments. You know, a lot of guys have been around forever. A lot of new guys. A lot of guys just hang out and talk and visit and everything. It's just a neat atmosphere. So if you're down here Sunday, come join us over there at PB2 for that Bass World Sports. It'll be a great event. Like I said, this week with the clouds moving in, these fish should just really start biting. So I hope you guys have a great time down here at the Ozarks this week, fishing a wild card. This lake has a lot to offer. If somebody busts a 22 pound bag, it wouldn't surprise me one bit at all if these fish really go in and start biting and start feeding like they should be. But realistically, I'm going to say 14 to 16 a day for 2 days in a row. You'll be looking for at a berth in the All-American. So until next week, guys, good luck and be safe.